Okay, so let's see where we left off on the actual software. So here's our manage roles VC. It looks like we likely have major issues. Okay, that's actually kind of funny. Oh, now I remember. All right, so manage roles VC. We created this guy initially to be a UI table view controller to give us all of the methods, but then we changed him to a UI view controller. So when we did that, some other things are going to break in here. So we go over to the .m file. I'm going to get rid of this constructor here because it's useless. That's why we're getting errors with it. Okay. Now, notice right now this guy's giving us a warning to remind us that we're eventually going to have to say the number of sections in there, and this guy's giving us a warning that we're going to have to basically put the number of rows in there, but we'll leave that screaming at us for right now. And let's go draw our interface. So we'll go over to managerolesvc.zib, and we decided that this page should allow us to create new roles, edit existing roles, and it probably should show existing roles. So maybe show list of existing roles. So that's going to be our table view. So let's go ahead and throw that in there. And we're going to make this guy start looking slick, so we'll throw a toolbar down here at the bottom. And we'll throw a navigation bar here at the top. And this guy's going to be Manage Roles VC. Okay. And we have been moving these down 20 spaces. Why is that? Okay, so it's like not covering up the battery life and all that garbage up there. We come here. We can simulate that status bar up there so we can see what it'll look like. So if you click on the main view, and it's like this normally for a view controller, but since we started off as a table view controller, it didn't show it. So we clicked on this. You could do status bar, default, whatever. So we'll leave it as default. And it'll show us what that'll look like. I guess we've been sticking with this default stupid iOS 7 status bar looking thing, but whatever. Okay, so this is going to be this screen. So let's go ahead and get this loading for right now, and then we'll start hooking it up. So if you remember correctly, we're going to be inside Manage VC, and when we click on Manage Roles, we ultimately want to come to this page, right? So we'll go into managevc.h. We will create a new IB action. This will be manage roles button pressed. And we'll copy that and go and implement it in the .m. Now hopefully what we start wrapping our mind around here is that we're doing the same crap over and over and over again. It's the exact same pattern. We're just throwing time at it. Okay? So we'll go over to the .m for manage VC. we will implement the manage roles button pressed. What's this guy going to ultimately do? He's going to push something onto our navigation controller. What is that something? It's going to be an instance of manage roles VC. In order to create an instance of that, we have to import that. Then to get our navigation controller, we'll say self navigation controller push view controller. What view controller? A manage roles VC alloc init. Animated, yes. Okay, just like that. Then we need to go and hook it up in the zip file. Click on File Owner, click on our outlets. Here's our Manage Roles button pressed. Drag it over to this button. Say touch down. Now we can run the application and we should be able to get to that new screen. Make sense? Okay, so now things are going to start getting interesting. What's this screen going to show? Well, we need to create a couple of buttons on here. So we'll go ahead and do those real quick. To add a role, how do you want to add a role? What do you want the interface to look like for adding a role? Do you want to have them all on the bottom?
Sure.
Or do we sometimes, it seems like maybe we have, yeah, a little plus sign. Add. Yeah, see, that looks legit for an ad, right? That means add roles. Okay? So that should allow us to add stuff, but we don't know where we're adding it to yet. And ultimately, we also need to be able to edit something, but we'll see how we get to that. All right. Well, let's go ahead and do the ad. What is a role? I think we defined it in here. A role is a name and a description. So we need to enter in those two pieces of information, correct? So when we click add, what do we want to happen? Do we want to go to a brand new screen for adding a new role? We could do a pop-up. How should the interface work? If you were using this app and you hit the add for add roles, do you want to go to a brand new screen to add the role, or do you have something that just pops up on the screen? Having something pops up on the screen might be a little bit less boring, right? So we can kind of go and mess with some animation stuff. Okay, so this will be kind of interesting. So what I'm going to do here is I need to give myself some space. I'm going to drag that over there. I'm going to put a brand new view out here. And we'll resize this guy a bit. I made a view, didn't I? Oh, hold on. Under its size, I think I need to make it need to make it so it lets me change the size of this. Is that auto size thing? Use auto layout?
I think it's when it says like iPhone 4 or iPhone 4-inch.
Mine doesn't really like simulated metrics.
Simulated metrics, but shield icon.
What does it say?
Oh,
Open simulated metrics. Simulated metrics. You open that and then freeform.
Okay. So now we can create our size. So we're going to keep it at 320 width, and we're going to make this guy 200 high for right now. And we're going to create a little navigation title thing up here. Add new role. And we decided a role has two pieces of information, right? It has a name and a description. So we're going to create text fields for these two guys. Actually, let me do this. We'll make this guy 320 wide. And we're going to go into the shield. And we have something called placeholder text. And we're going to call this guy role name is what we want to have in there. And let's center it. And then we'll create a second one of these. Say role description for that one. What is attributed going to be? Oh, there we go. That's interesting. And we'll make the font a little bit bigger. Now the reality is we might want that second guy here to have multiple lines, correct? So maybe instead of this, we use a text view. Yep, a UI text view. And we'll make this guy 320 wide. Okay, so now they'll be able to type some crap in there, and we'll mess with that here in a second. What is this guy here? And they changed like all this crap. Okay, whatever. Oh, we'll leave the default text in there for right now. All right, so we'll make this guy look like this for right now. Now, when we hit this plus button up here, we want this guy to come onto the screen, right? This is a brand new view here, okay, that we created. Manage Roles VC is a view controller that controls this view over here. So this guy's just this extra view hanging out to the side. He's not part of what our view controller controls. How do I give my view controller programmatic access to this view? How do I access this view from code? IB outlet. So I need to go back to my code for manage roles BC, go to the .h. And we're going to create an IB outlet of type UI view pointer, and we'll call this new role view. Make sense? Then we'll go ahead and we'll hook that up. So go back to our Zib. Click on File Owner. Click on the outlets. We will see that we have something called New Role View. And we will, so you got to be careful here. So notice as I drag this around, I can hover over this and it highlights it. I can hover over this, I can hover over this, or I can hover over the entire view. Kind of going between those. Why does it think any of those is an acceptable thing to hook it up to? This guy is a navigation bar, right? This guy is a text view. This guy is a, actually this guy's a text field. This guy's a text view. But this guy's a view. Yet, it thinks I can hook my outlet up to any of these dudes. Why is that? Go ahead.
At a higher level, they're all UI views.
They all inherit from UI view. Every one of these is a UI view, even though they're kind of specialized ones. So we specifically want to control the entire view here. So I'll kind of find a little opening so it highlights the whole thing. Alternatively, you can drag it all the way over here to this thing and connect it there. See how that works? Okay, so now we want something to happen when I hit this button, when I hit this plus button. How do I make something happen when I hit a button? Through IB actions. So I'll go into .h. We will create a new IB action called add role button pressed. Actually, let's say plus button pressed, because we're probably going to have another button inside of there that's ultimately going to add the role. So we want to be able to differentiate between those two. So we'll say plus button pressed. Now we need to go implement that in the .m file. We'll take out this extra code up here. Why is this optional? The code I have highlighted? Somebody other than, go ahead.
Because you can use that instead of the .h.
Yeah, it's optional. The .h file is the old way of doing it. This might be the new way of doing it, but I might say the .h file is the better way of doing it. .h file shows this kind of a summary of the entire class, whereas this would just be one gigantic page of code with stuff prototyped at the top and stuff implemented at the bottom. That makes sense? So I like the .h version of this, but my guess is some bad programmers, because that didn't used to be there. So probably some bad newbie programmers at Apple decided, oh, we should put this in here because we're writing it that way anyways because we suck at coding. They probably actually said that to themselves while looking in the mirror. It's a daily affirmation.
You're still sore at Apple for your various issues.
No, I'm sore at dumb programmers. Nothing's changed there. Do you guys remember daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley? It's a old Stereo Live skit. About Landshark. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we're going to implement this method in here. Plus button pressed. And what is plus button pressed going to do? Well, for starters, we would like to have our view this dude right here, we'd like to have him show up on the screen. Maybe up here at the top of the screen, kind of hiding all this stuff. Does that make sense? How do we do that? Go ahead.
How is that not
Oh, we'll say something else then.
I was gonna say, are we gonna want like a done?
Probably. Yeah, we can add stuff to it in a minute. I just want to get it showing up on the screen in plenty of time before class ends. So I want this view to show up on this screen when we hit this button. We've actually seen in this class so far, not this particular class, but in this course, everything that you need to do that. Go ahead.
It has something to do with the CG rec name.
It's related to that. So every one of these frames, every one of these views rather, has a frame. And the frame dictates its width, its height, and its position, x, y, in its container. Remember when we messed around with having things move around on the screen? Different ways, and we put things inside of other things and saw how they resized? So if I were to take this guy and somehow magically get him into this view, and then set his XY, he would show up at the upper left-hand corner. But actually, I want it at 20. I want his Y at 20. So if I click on this guy, and I go here, why can't I edit these? Because there's no subcontainer. They're not inside of a container. So giving it a coordinate doesn't make any sense. But once I get him inside another container, I can give him a coordinate. How do I get one view inside of another view?
Add of something.
I mean that in the biblical sense. What's up? The birds and the bees.
That's the case. I'm gonna go with Jesus.
Okay, so you're going to say add subview,
Yeah.
right? Because remember we did that way back at the beginning. We took a UI window, which is a view, and added to it as a subview our navigation controller's view. So as soon as we hit the plus sign, and what did I call that guy? I called it new role view. We're going to say self.view, add subview, new role view. Start off with that and see what that does. Okay? By default, new role views XY will be 0, 0. We saw it already. It was just grayed out. We couldn't modify it. I'm adding it as a subview. So basically, if you think of this, the view that this view controller controls as a basket, I'm taking that new role view and throwing it in the basket. Gotcha. Okay? He already has a frame associated with him. I think he's 320 wide by 200 tall, I think is what I made it. And then he is going to be at 0, 0, which is the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So let's go back out here to the Zib, and let's actually hook up this IB outlet. I'm sorry, this IB action. Plus button pressed, hook it up to the plus button. And let's go see what awesomeness happens when I hit the plus button. What do you think will happen? Click manage, manage roles. It's going to happen. Your grade depends on it. Showed up on the screen. But unfortunately, it's at 0, 0 instead of 0, 20. Kind of covering up the clock and stuff like that. Right? So how do I make it 0, 20 instead of 0, 0? Oh. Relax. Somebody who hasn't answered yet today. So how do I make new role view have a XY coordinate of an origin, if you will, of 0, 20 instead of 0, 0? The answer to the question has already been said during this class in the last 5 minutes by Abe. CG rect make, okay? Okay, so we're going to update the frame. New roll view dot frame is equal to a CG rect make, and we got to give it an x and y. We want the x to be 0, and we want the y to be 20. What do we want the width to be? Do we want to change the width?
No.
Do we want to change the height? So we want the width to be whatever it currently is. How do I reference the current width of new roll view?
Frame, dot board,
New roll view dot frame dot. We want the width. That's under size. Dot width. So that's the current size. We won't change it. And then the current height. So that will adjust the frame for that guy to be at 0.20 instead of at 0.0, which was the default. That make sense? Go ahead.
Do you want to do that after you add it to the subview? Or doesn't matter?
Well, you tell me. We'll see that it works here, first of all. I hope it works or it's going to be very embarrassing. All right, so we see it works. Now, what would have happened if we had done it after adding it to the subview? Just change the order of code there a little bit. We're going to what? Yeah, we're going to want to pay attention. It might happen pretty quick. So watch, you'll see it show up here, then immediately shift down. It might actually happen too quickly. It did. I promise you that's what happened though. Even if it was like in a flicker. It was added as a subview and then shifted down. Because when it first came in, it was 0, 0. Okay? We could do, this would be kind of a funny programming joke. And we're not going to leave this in here very long. I just think it's going to look cool, so we're doing it. So we'll start off at 0, 0, then we'll go to 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3. You'll see it shimmy. Won't that be cool, Dan?
Awesome.
It's going to be awesome. Exactly. Extra credit there. Oh, we don't even get to see it shimmy. Happened too fast. We have to throw an extra for loop in here. Hold on. All right. Got to make sure it does something, otherwise the compiler will say you're wasting our time. Don't do this. Wow, I hate everybody. We have to put it in animation, I think. I wonder why. Well, no, it's not getting into this because I'm not doing anything. I mean, if I wanted to do something, I'll have to say nslog blah, and I probably will require far less than, here, we'll do 10,000. I don't think I'll even need that much. Yeah, see, it's not even happening quick enough. We need to drop it. Let's try it with 100. Well, that's actually interesting. It still did them in the correct order, even though we added it as a subview. So Abe, to answer your question is it doesn't matter. But put it beforehand. It really should matter. I wonder why it's like that. Okay, so that puts it on the screen. And we're crashing Xcode. Now, Abe suggested that we have some sort of done button, probably an OK or a cancel button, right? See, look, it's still confused. It's still confused. Oh, thank you. I do find it funny that it still thinks we're dealing with a K somewhere in there. There we go. Okay. Now, when this thing first pops up, we probably want to have role name be the kind of the current selected thing, so that we can type. Anybody remember how we do that? How do I make a text field become the... I've given you half the answer already. How do I make a text field automatically have a keyboard pop up? I think we did that, didn't we?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Well, first of all, am I going to need to have access to this guy? I'm going to need to have access to him anyways at some point because I'm going to want to be able to read in whatever role they typed in. Make sense? So if they type in developer, I need to be able to read that into my program and do something with it. We don't know what that something is yet, but we are going to need access to it. So how do I give myself programmatic access to a text field, Simon? IB outlet. So I'll go into the .h, IB outlet, UI text field, pointer, role name TF. That's just my naming convention. I think I shared that with you before. TF for text field. Go back into the Zib. Let's hook that up. File owner, outlets. We see our new role text field, role name text field. Now notice that that guy only lets us select the thing that's actually a text field, as opposed to the other thing, which was a UI view. That make sense? Because not some, let's see, all text fields are UI views, but not all UI views are text fields. So we're going to hook that guy up to that text field. Go back to the .m. Again, before we add it as a subview, although I doubt very much it's going to make a difference, I'm going to say, what did I call it? New role, role name text field, become first responder. That sends the message for the keyboard to pop up so that we can start typing in that box right away. Go ahead and run this. Keyboard's up. Now, it just so happens that we actually have extra space here. We can make that view taller than 200. And we might as well use up that space because otherwise we're going to see names of our existing roles underneath here, right? All right. And I'm going to have to do a little experimentation here because I don't remember the exact height of that keyboard. I think I can actually do this. Can I simulate a keyboard? Bottom bar. I cannot. Top bar, status bar, blah blah. All right, no problem. Let's just make this guy 400 for right now. And I'm going to actually throw a toolbar down here. We'll use it here shortly. One item, we're going to say cancel in there, and we'll end up putting an OK or a save or something like that on second. All right, so we'll save that for now. Let's see if it fits in the correct space for our keyboard. Might have to do a little wiggle room in here. Nope, we made it too tall. About 325. I don't think it's gonna be 325. Let's do 320. I have a good feeling about 320. You like it? Not as much as my drawing though. Oh man, it might have been. It looks like it's about 330. It's got a little gap there. You see that? Watch it be 325. I don't think it is though. That looked like, actually, I bet you it's 340. That looked like the same size gap as we had up here. It looks like maybe 335. $335 for a perfect fit. Boom. Legit, right? Okay. Now, what if we want the screen to go away? Well, we got to make that cancel button do something, right? All right, how do I make buttons do something, Simon?
IB action.
All right, IB actions. Seems like we spend a lot of our time doing the same crap, don't we? IB action. Let's call this guy new roll cancel button pressed, just in case we have some other cancel buttons on this particular view. Go over to the .m and let's implement this. Okay, so for starters, let's go ahead and let's make the keyboard go away. Then we'll deal with making the view go away. So keyboard going away. Who has the keyboard right now? What's it? New role name TF, resign first responder. That'll give it up. Let's go hook that up in the Zib, and we'll see that that works. Click here, click outlets, hook up the cancel button, new role cancel button pressed. So get to our screen, hit add. Now when I hit cancel, we should see the keyboard sweep away. All right, but hold on. We need to break this. I'm going to come back in here, go to manage roles, hit this. I'm going to click on my text view down here, then hit cancel. Problem is when we first came in here, if I click up here again and then hit cancel, we're good. But when we first came in here, this text field up here became the first responder, right? As soon as I clicked in this text view down here, he became the first responder. Keyboard stayed up because it was already up. But I told the text view to resign first responder, give up, yet he didn't have the first responder rights. So it wasn't his to give away. So in order to make sure it always works, I would have to say, tell both guys to resign first responder. Like, look, I don't care which box we're in here. None of you are the first responder. Everybody give it up. That makes sense? Eventually, if nobody has it, the view controller gets control of it and hides it. That makes sense? So that means we need to give ourselves access to this guy. That guy is a UI text view. So I need to go into my code, create a new IB outlet. UI text view pointer role description. How about role DESC TV text view? Let's go hook that up. Click on file owner, click on outlets. There's our dude. Drag it to the text view. Actually, we just saw kind of an interesting thing here. This text view is way bigger than the screen. All right, there we go. So now in the code, when I tell the text field to resign first responder, let's also tell this guy, the text view, to resign first responder. I don't care who has it, but whoever has the keyboard right now, give it up. That make sense? So now when we run this, it won't matter which of these things we're in. Click there, hit cancel, it goes away. I can't actually, oh, look at that. That's actually quite interesting. What does this tell you about what's happening right here? A text field or a text view automatically become first responder when you click on them. You don't have to actually make it become first responder. Us making it first responder is what we did want to do because nobody had clicked on the text field yet. We wanted the keyboard to pop up as soon as we hit the plus button, right? Okay. Now, when we hit cancel here, we also want this add new role thing to go away, don't we? Well, how do we do that? If you're MacGyver, how do you make this text view go away? I'm sorry, this UI view go away.
Pop it on the manage VC, manage roles.
This guy's not a view controller. He's not on a navigation controller.
Can you just remove the subview?
You actually could remove the subview. So here, I'll show you that real quick. New role, remove from SuperView. So we tell this guy to take himself out of the container that's holding him. Make sense? What's another way we could do it? I'm going to say that's the crappy way. It's not necessarily the crappy way. I'm just going to say I want to do it a different way. Go ahead.
Can you just put the position of it to something that's not showing up?
Yeah. We don't care if it's there or not. We just don't want to see it. So let's get it off the screen. So rather than this line, why don't we just take this line right here and set as X to, what, negative 500 or something? Stage left. Make sense? He's still there. I mean, he is still part of this he's still a subview of our view controller. So that brings up the question, every single time I hit the plus sign, I'm re-adding him as a subview, aren't I? Isn't that redundant? So why not add him as a subview at the very, very beginning, i.e. view did load, and have him off the screen? Could do that, right? Okay, so we'll come back next class and we will solve this next problem, which is right now this guy just pops in there. That's not cool. There's got to be some sort of cool animation or something like that because, you know, this is exciting times. We're adding a new role, right? So we'll have to do something to make it look neat coming onto the screen. Questions, comments, concerns, bribes? See everybody on Monday.